Oh, 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 oh. Oh yeah. Oh my God. God. I don't know anybody who bass fishes who doesn't love to bust heads in the thick stuff like this, whether it's hydrilla, whether it's thick pads, whether it's milfoil like we get up here on Lake Guntersville, whether it's, dude, my favorite, actually, if I had to pick one favorite vegetation to punch, like day in and day out, it'd be Pennywort. It's like this, the little circle leaves, it's kind of like hyacinth, but I found over the years, it's a little bit different in the sense that it does hold fish during the summer. Down in Florida, like a lot of fish, unless you're in more North Florida, they don't tend to use the mats as much in summer. It's more of a spring, kind of a winter deal. And that Pennywort will hold fish year round. And dude, when you get on that, I've never, actually I caught like a couple 9-pounders actually out of Pennywort. You don't catch giants usually, because the giants usually use like hyacinth because it's usually a little shallower, or like hydrilla and stuff like that. But Pennywort, dude, can be one of the most consistent, like 5 to 7 pound bites you've ever been on in your life. And especially when the fishing's tough down in Florida, I'll throw you guys a tip, dude, like when it's super tough and you just need one big bite, go to that Pennywort. There's something about it, dude, day in and day out, summer, spring. But that's not the subject of this video. This video is actually about, I'm gonna show you some punching baits that I love, but one thing that I don't talk about that much because I'm not a really big, like crazy person with it, is bait colors. But I do have like 4 or 5 bait colors when it comes to punching. And it's like any color water punching. You can see this stuff's pretty like green and it's clear. It's got a little bit of stain to it, but I don't care if it's that stuff. I don't care if it's gin clear. I don't care if it's tannic brown, even like stained, kind of like muddy, like Istapoga water kind of thing. I don't care what it is. These are the colors that I'm going to use and that I've had success with in the past. And the reason kind of that runs through them all is brim, or bluegill, whatever you want to call them, shell crackers sometimes. But the majority of bass that you're catching when you're in this stuff are eating brim and bluegill, and it's all about mimicking those bait fish, dude. Even a frog, dude. Everybody talks about a frog, you know, like being like a frog. It ain't a frog, dude. Like 90% of it, maybe up north it's a frog, and in some like certain seasonal patterns, but a frog's brim. Frog's like a bluegill kind of flicking around at the top in most situations. But let's get to it. I'm gonna show you colors and go-to punching baits, because I know in Lake Guntersville, the punch bite is on. So first things first, if you guys are just beginning to punch or flip mats or flip really heavy vegetation, I'm gonna show you real quick the equipment that I use. I'm not saying this is what you need, but I'm gonna tell you what I have and why, because I think it's really important. A lot of guys disagree with me, I'll be flat out. A lot of guys like a lot of stiffer stuff. I like a little different rod. But my go-to punch rod right now is a Halo 711 heavy, not the extra heavy, the heavy. And the reason for that is, like I said, I like a little softer rods. It's got more tip. But you'll notice too, it's a 711, which is a pretty long rod. The reason you want a long rod when you're punching this kind of matted vegetation is it gives you more leverage on the fish, and you want a long rod because you're flipping, you're pitching the bait. So that long rod allows you to leave, say, I don't know, maybe like 6-7 foot of line out. And you're able to kind of pitch that out. It makes you a little more accurate at short distances. Now, if you're around like trees and overhanging stuff, it can be difficult, but usually when you're punching, it's an open water deal, kind of like what you can see around us with the pads and that, and you're just kind of pitching to spots. It also gives you more leverage on the fish when you hook them. You can drag fish out, but you really want to pin them no matter what, and that long rod allows you to kind of get them high, get them to the top of whatever kind of matted vegetation you're fishing, and keep them there. And then whether it's the big motor, like I did, remember, if you go back and watch the video of Fido Beto where he caught that 10.5 or whatever, dude, we had to like motor into a mat and go back there and get that joker. So whether it's with your trolling motor, your big motor, you go back there and you get them. Throw you another real quick tip. If you ever get one pegged and you can't get it out, point your rod at the fish And this is if you can't do anything else, but point your rod straight at the fish and reel down. And more often than not, those fish will actually pop out. I don't know what it is, but that different angle, instead of trying to break your rod by dragging them out, point and pull, and they pop out. That's a mikeybalzz top secret trick. I did that with like a couple 7.5 pounders, and they come right out, dude, like frosting, dude. They just slide right up, craziness. But high speed reel, I'm a little old school. I got my Corrado 200 E7s, so this is only a 721 reel. If you want to go to an 821, that's fine as well. But just make sure it's solid. You can easily burn a reel because you are running braid. 65 to 80. Now, I used to hate 80-pound braid, but up here on Lake Gunnersville, I've actually kind of gone to it more often than not. The fish don't seem to mind it, and really in some of this super thick, we have what I'm going to call like river grass up here. It's like Maine river grass. It's so thick, dude, that when you hook them, like if there's any nick in your line and you're like bent up with them pegged, dude, that line can just go pop. You also get a little bit of friction from your weight. Even though I run Hogtech tungsten weights, they're a little more compact than your average weight, but I don't care what weight you're using, insert or not, you end up with that weight is so heavy. This is a 1.5. That's what I'll have on most of the time. That weight beats around, and no matter how good your braid is, it's gonna beat on the line a little bit. The other thing too that you wanna remember is, this is actually a bait that we're gonna talk about, but you wanna have a straight shank hook. I'm gonna actually rip the bait off, but straight shank hook, this is a trocar. I'm trying it out a little bit, but a straight shank hook, 3/0, 2/0, 4/0, depending on the size of the bait, and then you want to snell it so it kicks that hook up just like that. But that's the basic setup that you want to have. So let's get to these colors and these baits. And these are baits literally, like, I don't care where you are in the country, dude. I've flipped them in Wisconsin. I flipped them in Alabama. I flipped them in Florida, North Florida. I think we even did some flipping in Michigan too. But like, I flipped them everywhere. At least to me, that's everywhere. And they work. Because really, anywhere you are in the country, you're trying to mimic brim. So the first one, and this is the one that I like the most lately, is it's a Gambler Stinger. Now, colors wise, this is what's called Killer G. It's actually a color that I helped to design. So it's a green pumpkin with some purple in it. A lot of times these brim get these weird hues, and we're going to talk about it too, and with the color blue as well, but they get some kind of like purple in them, and at the same time they're going to be natural. This watercolor is kind of like a green, maybe it gets a little stain in it, so it matches the watercolor, which is what the fish are doing because they want to be camouflaged, but they can't help but be, I mean, a bluegill blue, you know, like they tend to get a little iridescent, so it's purple. But this stinger's kind of cool because it almost looks, you can see, kind of like a brim. It's got the ribs on it, but it's got these big kicker tails, so it almost looks like I'm swimming, darting down to the bottom, darting away from the bass. But try out Killer G is the color. Stingers, hardcore go-to. Same stinger, but another color that I'd highly recommend, and it's the same concept, dude. It's black and blue with green pumpkin. Literally the two best colors in bass fishing. I don't care where you go. But it just mimics that bluegill, dude. If you ever go brim fishing or shellcracker fishing, they're either gonna have some of that purple or some of that blue like that in there. So that's what they're eating. Why not mimic it? So let's see, what else we got here? Oh, old school stuff. This is a color that does not get enough credit. This is my old D&M Custom Baits Big Mama. I don't know who makes it anymore. I think D&M still makes it, but Big Bite Baits might make it. I'm not 100% sure. But this is an old school color. OG, dude. Like if you go to Walmart and look at ribbon-tail worms, you'll probably find this joker. It's what's called black neon. And it literally is black with red fleck. Super standard and old school. So if you guys got shellcracker on your lake, they tend to get a little bit of like red fleck in them. But all of them are kind of like dark and shadowy, especially when you get under these mats. I've stuck GoPros under them, and when you get under there, there's quite a bit of shade canopy. So what things end up looking more like are silhouettes with a little bit of color. So a black neon, this is something that I'd use, especially in tannic water, because the brim tend to get a little bit darker. Lake Kissimmee chain, north end of Okeechobee, around the river, around Kissimmee River, Harney Pond, wherever that water's super tannic, them brim get really dark. This guy, black neon, and what's cool is everybody throws black and blue. Everybody in the world, everybody throws green pumpkin. This is kind of a little bit different take on it. And trust me, it works. Actually, the 9-pounder that I caught on Okeechobee punching way back in the day was on this guy. So let's move on. This guy is the most underrated bait in all of bass fishing. And I bring it up a lot, but I like bringing up stuff until like everybody throws it, and then I gotta go figure out something else to throw. But the BB cricket, or the cricket from Gambler, dude, I don't care where you punch, especially in Wisconsin actually. But this guy last year in Gunnersville absolutely killed it. Not just for me, but a few guys that Jacob Wall, like, dude, there were some guys that were freaking really catching them on it. Part of the reason is too, they see so many beaver style baits on lakes that get pressured, like Gunnersville, like Lake Okeechobee, like Kissimmee, that sometimes they want a do nothing presentation with very minimal appendage movement. You notice the baits that I showed you at first had kind of those flapping type appendages. This guy's got, I mean, dude, it's super old school. Like, it could be 1992 and you'd be like, hey, it's a cricket, you know, like, it fits right in. It's old. But the appendages don't do much, and if nothing else, they actually just quiver. They have kind of like that cylindrical, almost like the Japanese kind of releases that you see a lot now, where they just have sort of straight appendages and they're meant to just vibrate or shake, and that's exactly what this does. The other reason that I really like this cricket, and the reason I actually had it on my other rig, I was flipping some of that river grass that I was talking about up here on the upper end of Gunnersville, and it's hard to get through. It's super, super thick. And I have a 2 ounce rigged up, but I try to avoid using it because a 2 ounce weight, you lose a lot of fish because that weight bonks the hook out of the fish's mouth. Sometimes you gotta use it. There's no way around it. But what this guy allows you to do is it shrinks your presentation. So if you look at, say, you know, a stinger versus that guy, the size difference and the girth difference, you know, this thing, when you start looking at the tips, it's a lot more compact. So it slides through the mat with that 1.5, and it actually, if you look here, so if I put that cricket on behind the 1.5, that 1.5 totally encapsulates that cricket. So the only thing that's really got to go through is that 1.5 versus another like wide body appendage of the bait. You like that? I'm flexing, bro. So it's a super compact bait, and also for these fish that are highly pressured, they see something small darting. Sometimes there's grass shrimp, sometimes there's small crayfish, sometimes there's little minnows, dude, in some of these mats, and these bass will actually key in on it. So if you're looking for something that's a little outside the ordinary, if you like to flip but you like finesse fishing and you want to mix it up, try out the cricket. Now the other thing is this color. This is, if I have one color to punch, uno solamente colore kind of thing, for all our Hispanic watching audience. That probably wasn't even right. There we go. Like, I can't, whatever. I'm just gonna let it go. So back at you is a swirl color. It's black. It almost becomes a little bit purple. It's got blue in it, and then there's a little bit of purple fleck. To me, that's the best of everything. It's kind of natural too. I'm a strong believer in these swirl colors, how things, when you look at them in nature, they're not one color. They're a bunch of different colors because they're picking up sunlight hues, they're picking up water hues, they're camouflaging themselves, they're doing all this different stuff. So a swirl color is kind of a blend of all those things, and I have 1,000% confidence in it. So if you're going to try any of these baits, or even you're trying any kind of beaver bait or just punching in general, try to find yourself kind of like a black and blue swirl color. I honestly think it is the best bait to punch, even in semi-clear water, dude. Like, I've caught them on Gunnersville when the water's like gin clear on the main river. Awesome on this style. But try yourself a cricket. Those are kind of my go-tos, dude. Like, on those baits, you will catch something. I guarantee it. If you're punching, whether it's hydrilla, pads like we're around right now, floating mats, those baits will catch fish. Link them up with a 1.5 or whatever weight you need to get through the cover that you have, all the way down to like a 1 ounce, 3/4 ounce. You got to kind of adjust and kind of see what gets through, but get after it, dude. The bite's going to be a little tinker. They're going to hold on to it, and to me, it is one of the most fun bites that you can get on any body of water. Thank you guys for watching, and thanks for your support for the channel. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed what I talked about. If you didn't, definitely throw it a dislike, because I'm all about throwing that hate around. But if you guys got any questions about punching, I absolutely love punching mats. Like, whether it's pad mats, whether it's hydrilla mats, I could talk for hours about punching mats. I've done it so much, and sometimes to no avail and catching nothing, but sometimes catching monster bags when no one is catching anything. There's so many nuances to that approach, and it's such an intense bite, dude. They slam it, you set the hook, they're driving down into the grass, like, you don't know how big. It's awesome, dude. And especially as we get summer, fall, all this grass grows up, there's a lot of opportunities on it no matter what body of water you're on. But thank you guys for watching. Drop any questions you got down in the comments box. I'll drop links to the baits that I talked about down in the description box. Peace. We'll see you back out on the water.